What we come down on our service teams for, we don't come down on our sales teams for nearly enough.
We need retention, and that lies with our service team, and we need sales, and that lies with our production team, but you both have responsibilities to each other.
We're also focused on our own little bucket that we can't look at the big picture for a better client experience sometimes.
All right, so this is our guide for how to master insurance servicing. So many agencies, I'm just going to throw some topics out to these guys. So many agencies spend so much time on producers and new business, right? Then, and that's, by the way, if you're in that startup phase, you have to write policies. Nothing's going to happen until they get sold. But one day you're going to realize you have untrained people managing millions of dollars of your premium. And what ends up happening is they go from selling to having to put out fires on service and fires on service. And so I think that, I've always had such a strong respect for the service team because I think that job's harder than the sales team. And a lot of agencies today, the producers are not knocking down doors. They're not highly skilled sales professionals, if you know what I'm saying. They're like bumping into stuff and getting call-in business. And so the service team has to be held to these high standards. And I often think what we come down on our service teams for, we don't come down on our sales teams for nearly enough. Like when the sales team doesn't call a new lead and it's like, we'll just try harder. The service person doesn't call somebody back in like 5 minutes. It's like, what the heck? Why did you call them back? It's like, you spent all this money generating a new lead. So I see Bobby being passionate about this. I'm going to pull in Bobby to say, what do you think, Bobby?
Producers out there, close your ears, but I think you're being lazy right now. I think they've gotten to a place where we're feeding people a little too much and not creating the hunger of where we need to be. But also, I think I've been both. I've been a producer and I know how hard that role is. So I'm not going to discount that. I mean, I know what it's like to sit with my laptop at the car wash and try and quote people's auto and homeowners insurance and, just my 2 feet in a heartbeat out pounding the pavement and, trying to drive leads and knock on doors and do those things. And I think sometimes our sales team is not necessarily empowered. They haven't been given the skills that they need. But then I also think on the servicing side, we are really hard on our service team. And it's because then they know how to reach out to the agency principal and they're going to complain about this thing. You didn't call me back at XYZ number of times, or, my claim wasn't covered, or this didn't happen, or they didn't give me this coverage. And so we come down really hard on our service team. But I think it takes all of us. It takes everyone in the agency to make these transactions work. Our sales team, I want you to hear me. You got to be writing the right accounts. When you are making exceptions to your agency's standards, you are creating more work on our service team. And they are less likely to help you when you're putting crap in their book. And service team, guess what? You are not going to grow in your career without your sales team. So you have to help them write those new accounts. Help them do the application. Help them understand the carrier. It might be the 10th time you've told this producer this thing. Okay, tell them the 11th time. But we need both. We need retention, and that lies with our service team, and we need sales, and that lies with our production team. But you both have responsibilities to each other. And I think we miss on them a lot of times.
Stephen, what are some things that you see in your agencies that people do that give like wow service? Like, have you come across anything that like really sticks out to like, this is pretty cool?
One, which again is an unpopular opinion, I love when they schedule appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, for me to be able to give you the time and attention you deserve, I want to schedule an appointment with you. And they explain the why, right? Like, I can try to kind of solve your problem in a flurry right now, and it will make us both more stressed, or we can have a solution and have some time to solve and have a better conversation. So I think that's one. I think another one is communicating with each other, putting notes in as it's happening into the system. So as it's going to the next person, everybody can see what's in there. The emails as they come in are being attached to the system. Somebody calls in, the first person logging in the fact that they called, and they transfer to person number 2. Person 2 then goes in and is like, great. I see you called in. It looks like this, and this, or your emails are here. So and so was helping you, but they're out. Let me jump in and help.
Are you saying that we could task each other in the management system?
What? We can
For a
create
whole chain of communication and one
for we can have clear communication and responsibilities in the system to
stop
make it a better
it.
client experience.
But what if I have 100 tasks open and I'm not going to see the thing come in?
We'll definitely check it throughout the day. Or when the client's calling you, open the folder and you look. I mean, another wild thing, and we kind of talked about this already, is when somebody's calling in, open their file, open the account, and pull all the pending to the top. Like scroll for outstanding activities, outstanding or pending transactions, things that somebody else is going to need to follow up on later in the day. Because nothing drives me more insane than getting a call from one person to then 2 hours later, I talk to somebody else, then I get another call. It's like, we're still waiting for, and I'm like, yeah, the other people I talked to today couldn't have said, hey, just a reminder, this is still pending.
Yeah.
Like, we're also focused on our own little bucket that we can't look at the big picture for a better client experience sometimes, or it's not in there for anybody to know.
Well, and I always like to say, I think another great, like the WOW customer service flex of 2024, to use very Instagrammable terms, right? First call resolution, like just getting it one and done, keeping the person on the phone, building that rapport, building that relationship, taking care of them 100% so they don't have to call back. They don't have to wait on you. You don't have to call them again. So critical. And then one is proactive renewal reviews, the oldest, most old-fashioned thing you can do. But, if we just want to be there when people call us, it's not going to be a good strategy. It's not. And next year, everybody, we've said this, as this market subsides, your clients will shop and find other companies. And if you're not there for them, like you're going to have a problem because you're not going to grow by rate this year and your PIF's going down. It's going to go down even more. And so I hope in 2025 agency owners wake up and realize like it's time to take back control of what people are doing every day, not listen to the excuses. Like I'm so over the excuses. And this is why I like our larger clients that have like HR teams and everything else. It's like you're not making your renewal calls. You're going to have a meeting with the VP who's going to like this is your last stop,
Yeah.
And I think we have to stop being such victims of everything in this marketplace of, well, it's hard to find people. It's hard to keep the wrong people too.
Hmm.
You're sending a message to everybody else when you let one person not do their job. And you think that just having someone that can fog a mirror and answer the phone. There are things today like Cover Desk. You can send transactions there. Like I want agency owners to get fired up this next year, like ready to say, no, we're going to go dominate. Not we're just going to survive. Like I am so burned out by everybody in this industry, just one foot in front of the other survival. And I understand the hard market's hard, but you also have a choice every day. What are you going to do? You're going to get up there and get on the horse, or you're going to be like, oh, it's so hard. That's like somebody's drowning and we're just going to go describe the water. It's wet. It's cold. Like, no, let's do something. Let's get off our butts and do something. And the thing I love most about, inviting new people into the agency, and this is not an age characterization, so I don't want a whole bunch of comments like, hey, Kelly doesn't like older account managers. I think you guys are vital. But I also think that you need to wake up and do the processes and embrace technology. And I think that the newer people, it doesn't matter if you come from another agency, you're just new. You don't have all this muscle memory you got to fight. So when you've been where so long, like you have to choose to follow the new protocols and not just keep doing what you've been doing forever. And it's funny, there's like a high rate of the people who are the most burned out, crispy, that literally want zero solutions to fix it. Like, I want to be burnt toast every day.
Yeah.
I want to sit here, bitter beer face it, and say that there's no challenges. And I think everybody's grieving the time that doesn't exist anymore and it's not going back. So we have to just keep pushing forward.
Well, and I think as seasoned staff members, we have to remember at an agency, what have we been building all of these years? You've been helping to build a legacy. So why do you not want that? Why do you not want to see that thing flourish? What did you spend all your years on? If you're not going to welcome in new greener staff, you're not going to welcome in new technology, you're not going to welcome in progress for the agency. Why did you spend 20, 30, 40 years sitting behind that desk and calling them your clients?
That's a good point.
Because they are mine.
My client.
They will only talk to me, Bobby. They will only talk to me.
Mine.
Well, and I also want to encourage everybody, like, we're not at the happiest place on earth. We're in insurance, which means we have to get good at having difficult conversations and not shy away from them, not put them in email, just literally talking to people. Like I think about other industries a lot. Like you go to your car service place and they find out you need work on your car. They don't like, well, I'm really sorry, but you need new brakes and windshield. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, this is what you need. What do you want to do? And I see this all the time where like difficult conversations, if I could give one gift to account managers, it's like just going on to the next phone call. And I really believe that first call resolution helps with this because you conclude that call, I never have to think about it again. If I can do everything on that call, I don't have to call back and forth and back and forth. I can get everything done on that call. They can go about their merry way. I can go about my merry way, and I'm not dreading it tomorrow.
Right.
Just my 2 cents. So how can we boost morale for people? Because I think it's hard to give good service when you feel like garbage every day. Like somebody said this recently, a lot of people bring their whole self to work today, which is accepting, right? Like, but that was not the case back when I first started. There was no social media, there was no texting, like there was no cell phones, right? So I didn't know what was burning down in my personal life until I had a break, right? And when I went home, work didn't come home with me because there was no email on my phone either, right? Like the boundaries of life and work were much crisper. Can we all agree to that?
Uh-huh.
And bring me back there, by the way. Take me to the way back time machine. So now today, because of social media, we all know so much more about people's personal lives. We know so much more. The world has changed, and I'm here for it. I'm not trying to fight that part. But gosh, I mean, and this is before the hard market too. I just remember going to all these agencies and even people I worked with just totally drained every single day. And again, some of this could be 100% from their personal lives, but then they took their personal lives and came in drained, right? And then they may have had a bad day at work, they go home drained, and it's like this repeat loop of stuff. So I'm just curious, like each one of you guys, like take 2 minutes. What do you think is the solution to these people coming in? And it just seems like we have to break a cycle somewhere along the way.
I mean, I think part of it is sometimes I don't think that they realize that they're doing it. So we have to have that tough conversation of, hey, like, did you notice or did you know, dot, dot, dot. And we have to figure out how to approach that carefully. But I think the other part of it is literally it's mental, right? Like there's days where I literally have to go, I'm taking my workspace and I open a drawer and I throw it in there and I'm like, I'm now locking it and swallowing the key till tomorrow. Just like when I'm at home, I have to be like, okay, going in the trunk, home's at home, work's at work, let's have some separation, right? And I think part of the battle is with working from home, it's like, where do you find that separation? But I know as soon as I come into my office, like, home's outside. I shut the door on purpose because that means I'm not focused on what's out there. I'm focused on what's inside.
Yeah.
But I have to also mentally say some days, this is work time. Let's focus on work. Let's have a work attitude. Now let's put it all away. Let's open the door and go back into the house. And now we can have our home attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And just finding the way to find that balance between the two.
Awesome. What do you think, Bobby?
I'm going to say something that both of these guys are probably going to go, but setting boundaries, right? Like being able
Ooh,
being able to set
boundary.
boundaries and know, what stays at work, what stays at home. Prioritizing my mental health is so important. Like having a regular schedule, getting the right hours of sleep at night, getting up and having the right plan in the morning. What do you do every day? And what works for one doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but how do we take care of our mental health? And then when we see each other when we're at work, where maybe we see somebody like starting to circle the drain a little bit, can we help to pull them out? Can we take them on a sanity stroll around the block and say, hey,
Like that.
let's go for a little walk. Let's go have some lunch together. Let's go do something. we have to understand our customers are people too, but we're also people, and we're there to do the best possible job we can do for the time that we are there. But you cannot take those things home with you and take them personally. This is a business, and we're here to do the business of insurance with our clients, right? And so once we do that, and as long as we know that we have done the best job that we can possibly do, we are not going to make everybody happy, but our job is also not to make everybody happy. Our job is to make everybody have the right amount of coverage that they need to protect the things that they work for.
Well, and I will say this because we have to conclude, but I think the key is prioritizing your mental health as a priority and understanding what that means for everybody is super key, right? Like, because it's different. Like, my strategy on that is different. And I just think that you have to make it an initiative, but you also can't make it an excuse, if that makes sense. Like, well, I can't
Yeah.
tell you to say, okay, well, how do I? How do I set boundaries, right? Not just and I think sometimes people set one-sided boundaries, right? With the easy, you got to set boundaries everywhere, people, not just the easy boundaries. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We appreciate everybody's time and go wow your customers. We'll see y'all soon.